Hey, very good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Sean.
This is Alex.
And you're listening to another Minisode of Coaster Kings A through Z. This week's letter is S for
Star Trek Operation Enterprise.
Located at Movie Park, Germany.
Der Weltraum. Unendliche Weiten. Das Abenteuer geht weiter im Movie Park Germany. Star Trek Operation Enterprise. Die einzigartige neue Star Trek Attraktion.
This coaster is one of our favorites of the Mac multi-launch-ish product line. So let's dive right in. Star Trek Operation Enterprise opened at Movie Park Germany in Bottrop, Germany on May 24, 2017. It's 40 meters tall, which equates to 131 feet tall. So 720 meters long, 2,360 feet long, and reaches speeds up to 90 kilometers an hour, which is 56 miles an hour.
Star Trek Operation Enterprise was the long-awaited spiritual successor to Cop Car Chase, which was letter C on our mini.
Yeah, we didn't miss it.
Yeah, so we're actually kind of following up on the subject a little bit. Cop Car Chase left the park without a traditional looping coaster when it closed in 2006. This ride, located immediately behind Movie Park Germany's entrance plaza, with its entrance located across from where Cop Car Chase was once located.
So Star Trek Operation Enterprise's entrance plaza is a small subsection of Movie Park Germany, which is dubbed the Federation Plaza. Theme 2, of course, Star Trek. Mm-hmm. It doesn't include any other rides, but it does feature an impressive Star Trek store, which really has the most amazing merch.
It's so cute.
And it's not, they have some ride-specific merch, but also just a bunch of just Star Trek merch, which is really cool. And then the rides queue itself is extensively detailed and features a series of pre-shows, props, and Star Trek Easter eggs. All themed, of course, to Federation Plaza in San Francisco.
Yeah. After passing through the ride's initial overflow queue area, guests are loaded into the first of two pre-shows, which teleports guests to the bridge of the USS Starship Enterprise. I think that's the case. It's not like a different ship, right? Like for the pre-show.
Oh, no. We are in the Enterprise. We're taking small shuttlecraft out of the Enterprise as part of our mission.
From there, the second pre-show takes place in the form of a live-acted sequence, which is honestly amazing. I know Sven was saying that they haven't done it since COVID now.
They brought it back for this season, but yeah.
Did they? Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So it did come back for this season. But that was actually one of the best parts of the whole experience was the live action.
Well, the great thing was the ride operators are live actors. Yeah. So it's like the people that are over here doing the dramatic Borcube story in German are also the ones like check your restraint dispatching you.
So
kind of cool.
And it instructs riders in this pre-show to board some of Starfleet's newest spacecraft for their journey. I forget exactly, I guess our mission is to, infiltrate the Borg Cube, blow it up.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which, of course, the Borg Cube makes an appearance in the ride.
The whole queue is just really nice because you start in Federation Plaza and they really cleverly kind of beam you up. They kind of did the Rise to the Resistance thing before Rise to the Resistance.
Yeah.
So you're over here in Federation Plaza on Earth, and then you get beamed up to Enterprise, and then from Enterprise you board the shuttlecraft, which takes you into space. Further into space. It's honestly super clever. I'm really into it. So the coaster, speaking of the extra roller coaster part of it, is built by Mech Rides. Star Trek Operation Enterprise uses a swing launch, which means that the coaster obviously launches forwards, then backwards, and then forwards again to complete the full circuit. We call this thing like a full circle shuttle coaster. When it was opened, it was honestly kind of unique. Now we're seeing a few more of them, but it was quite unique when it opened. An initial low-grade launch, since ride is partially up a 30-meter, which equates to 98.4 feet. Top hat then launches backwards into a 40-meter, 131.3 feet spike with a 180-degree vertical twist. Best seat in the house, in my opinion, is back seat because you do the full 180 spin. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
It's awesome.
And then afterwards, you launch a third time back, through the show building for a third time, reaching the top speed of 90 kilometers an hour, close to 60 miles per hour, 56 to be exact. And then you crest the top hat, which is somewhat of an Immelman-like shape. It's not really like a top hat. It's kind of like this weird S-turn going up into it, but it's very different.
Like a non-inverting Immelman is what I've heard elements like this referred to as. And when you look at it, it looks very Immelman-like. It's just that you right side up before you would have been turned upside down by the general curve of the element. The ride then continues after you exit the top hat. You continue with a reverse flying snake dive, which if you're familiar with a ride like Storm Runner, it's basically that double inversion sequence but sort of thrown in reverse. Ride to Happiness also has a flying snake dive, so
Yeah, it's pretty much the same
Yeah,
that goes on right
literally,
now.
but in reverse. So instead of a 0G roll into a dive loop, it's an Immelman into a descending 0G roll. Ryder's been enjoying an overbank turn through the Borg Cube, which is, I think, a really cleverly repurposed
Of an old storage
area.
building.
Yeah, and it has like little lights and a little like woo 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 when you pass through it. And then it has 3 airtime hills, a 270-degree turnaround, and then a heartline roll before entering the final brakes. Right there, adjacent to Bermuda Triangle, or whatever they call it now for Area 51.
Area 51.
And then you make a U-turn back into the USS Star Trek Enterprise.
Now, Star Trek.
Star Trek Enterprise, Starship Enterprise.
And so overall, this ride, whenever we rode it the first time, it wasn't quite as intense as I was expecting because we rode gold versions the same day. Because, they're pretty
similar
located.
concept, same parent company, nearby parks.
Exactly, and so, but I really appreciate the ride for its creativeness layout-wise, because all of the elements are quite unique compared to other mech rides out there, or just loopers out there in general. And then the theming aspect is quite strong. I think the overall product, just the aesthetic, the theme, the ride experience, and then the actual ride layout itself too, all together really make for a nice package. And the way it's located inside the park, despite the entrance not being anywhere of the ride, not being anywhere near the entrance of the park, the moment you walk into the park through the Movie Park Germany studio Hollywood type gates, the first thing you see right in front of you are just the inversions of Star Trek, and it's kind of like a really clean kind of continuation of what they have is this like film roll that's right on the fountain.
And the
really
Immelman-esque top hat like frames it so beautifully.
Yeah, it's kind of wild how nicely it fits in the area. And then for Area 51, last time we actually rode it, it was still Bermuda Triangle. We're going to go back in a couple of weeks and we're going to ride Area 51. But
I love Movie Park Germany.
It was kind of cool because you could really, from the exit of and the queue for Area 51,
it goes all
you could
around.
really get an awesome view of Star Trek.
They probably
kind
had
of
to reroute the
integrated.
queue for it. Like the approach
I don't know how
to
much
the right.
they had to do that because it still felt kind of original, but I guess we'll take a closer look.
And
next
of
time
course,
there.
like the first time I went to Movie Park Germany was several years before Star Trek, but I feel like I don't remember that big vacancy of where the coaster is located, like being there. But maybe it was. Who knows? I don't know.
Now, one thing I find really great about Movie Park Germany, which is, typical for most of their coasters nowadays. The coasters themselves on a global scale may not really stand out as like coasters, almost in a way that some Disney coasters are really big favorites of ours, but they don't stand out on a global scale for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Movie Park really does put a lot of effort into the whole package, and that's something that doesn't get discussed enough, and especially from the American audiences. I think that generally speaking, we're kind of looking at bigger is better. The more steel, the taller, the higher, the faster, and equals a better roller coaster. But there's something about Movie Park, and particularly Van Helsing's Factory, Star Trek Operation Enterprise, and then the new Studio Tour coaster.
My God, it's
where
so
the point of the
exciting for
coaster
that.
isn't necessarily to be just like the main act. The point of the coaster is to be the vehicle that brings you through the story. And those 3 coasters alone, even though we haven't ridden Studio Tour yet, but Sven vouches for it, it's just, that's kind of like what that park does. And I think if you go into Star Trek with that idea, it may rank quite high for you.
Yeah.
Like, we really like it.
Even though it's not like the most spectacular roller coaster, that ride always comes up in my mind. Like the other day, we went through the entire list of roller coaster database for all roller coasters that start with the letter S. And even though there's a lot of great roller coasters that start with S,
Like
that we could have
Starry Sky
chosen,
Ripper.
Starry Sky Ripper, which we were thinking of
Skyrush,
doing.
Storm Runner,
Yeah,
those are all kind
yeah,
of there for us.
There's just so many great roller coasters that start with the letter S, but something about Star Trek Enterprise always, it always makes itself memorable. I always think about it. It always bubbles up to the surface when I'm thinking about like great roller coasters that tell a story, great queues, great Mack roller coasters, a great launch looper, like it's all of these things.
What's also funny is that we haven't quite seen a coaster like that from Mack since. So we have in Dubai where we have motion gates and it has the bullet train, which is the Hunger Games themed similar coaster, but that layout almost feels a lot weaker and a lot less spectacular. And yes, the layout for Star Trek isn't super long, but just overall, I'm surprised we haven't seen more of those smaller shuttle scale, like full circle shuttle coasters, because I mean it's quite compact, fits in a nice plot. I think a lot of smaller U.S. parks could really benefit from it. But if you've listened to our recent SeaWorld San Diego episode, you'll kind of get where we're getting at. It's like, the U.S. parks, just generally speaking, don't really do as much with Mack coasters because Manza, for example, is still one of the only big Mack coasters in the United States.
Yeah, we have like 3 or 4 like
it's not a good example of
major
rides
marquee Mack
from
roller
Mack
coasters.
yeah.
Copperhead Strike, Time Traveler, Manta. But yeah, in conclusion, I just think Movie Park Germany really did a great thing well with this ride, just from start to finish. The concept, the execution, every bit of it. Such a fun intellectual property. Like, when you're gonna go through the trouble of licensing an intellectual property, Star Trek is not a cheap one, but it was so worth the trouble. And it's just a great ride, and I look forward to riding it every time we're in Germany. I just think it's such a
I really look forward to riding it again soon, for sure.
Yeah.
Alright guys, thank you for checking out this particular Minisode of Coaster Kings A through Z. We'll see you next week with one of our favorite coasters in the world, Tron Light Cycle Power Run at Shanghai Disneyland. For right now, check out all of the other A through...
What comes before S? R.
R episodes.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's late. And we will catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.